This is a comment I received from one of my tribe members on one of my videos yesterday. I've been investing for 40 years and I've never got the returns I've gotten since I joined your tribe. You don't know how warm that makes me feel, that I've made a difference in somebody's life who has been trying to succeed in the stock market for 40 years, and he's reached a new level of success. That means a lot to me. And I hope I can do it for more people because it's important to me. We started this program back in November of 2019 and struggled along and made videos and expressed opinions, and like all the talking heads on YouTube and on channels, CNBC and Fox Business and things of that nature. But not until May of this past year, 2025, did I really come to a reckoning of, I think I figured this out, and I need to spread the word that AI can change and level the playing field with Wall Street. And we did that by taking Jensen Huang's lead and saying something when he said about a year earlier, someday you'll have an AI agent that will help you make better decisions in your life. And so I thought it was going to be a computer I bought for $30,000 and it would do all the work. Well, I was wrong about that. What it really was that it was an open language platform that numerous people were building and giving me access to. And then I had to build the questions to achieve the answers that they had in the data that was in the data centers. And that was the long and short of it. So I sought out to say, okay, what does a growth company look like? I got that cue from a class I attended, a 6-month class put on by Goldman Sachs called 10,000 Small Businesses. And they challenged us as business owners to recognize a growth opportunity. Well, the more I thought about it, I said the best growth opportunity in the world that anybody has ever had is AI. And how is AI going to affect businesses? And how can I, recognizing that change it's going to make in businesses, how can I access that data that I can access over the internet through the use of my AI agents, Samantha and Bard, to predict the prices of stocks? I worked on it for about 6 months, and then I was convinced I could make it happen. So on May the 1st of 2025, I committed $668,000 to Samantha and Bard and myself and said, we're going to manage this portfolio and see what we can do. Well, we got to today, and that 668 is now 1,530,000. It grew by 129%. What I learned was, as I've gone through this, about 8 months, is that you have to ask the right question in order to get the right answer. And I now have 3 prompts. One, the first one that I built, is about growth, finding growth companies. What I'm looking for is companies that will double in price over 3 years. And I have set up 52 parameters that they have to meet, that Samantha has to search to see if they fit that potential probability, and then give me the price that the stock is going to be at the end of the next 3 years. And that worked for about 5 months. And then some people started asking me to look into stocks that were some of the data centers that were both dealing in selling compute through the data centers as well as mining Bitcoin. And those are 2 different things. And mining Bitcoin is totally dependent on the efficiency of your miners and then the eventual price of the Bitcoin. And that moves each day. Unlike a growth company who basically generates a product or a service, makes it available to a TAM, a total addressable market, and then the market and the community decides what the value of that stock is. And so the parameters were different. Then, just this last week, I created my third prompt, and it's what I call mergers and acquisitions. And what I realized is when I was looking for a growth company, if what they were doing was going out and borrowing money or using the money that they had to build this new business, that was one thing. But when in mergers and acquisitions, that's another thing, because you can have explosive growth in revenues because you bought somebody else and then you eliminated 50% of their employees. Thus, you were more efficient, and that throws your earnings all off. I have a stock whose earnings went up 12,000%. Well, that's not the same as tapping into a new market and building it. No, that's buying another company, bringing their revenues over, getting rid of their debt in many cases as a result of dilution of shares. But if the business proposition is good, it's still a good company. But Samantha was calling it dead wood because of the financial structure and the dilution of the shares. And so that's, again, built on 2 year or a double in 3 years. And again, it's got 60 parameters, some the same as the other two, but others allowing for the fact that the company is growing through mergers and acquisitions. So that's what I'm working with right now. And what I recognize is as my prompts change and as they get bigger, the length of time it takes Samantha to do the reviews went from 5 minutes, it's now up to 30 minutes. And the depth that she goes went from a 15-page document that she produces to a 30-page document that she produces. What I then do is take that and put it into another AI program and turn it into a podcast and share that information as well as the price projections with my tribe. And as I said, that has resulted in Brad, that's not his real name, writing me and saying, I've been investing for 40 years and I've never got the returns I've gotten since I joined your tribe. Thank you, Brad. I know that's not your real name. But what I'm doing and what I recognized is that in an average year, there are 273 stocks that produce a return on equity in excess of 100%. All I'm trying to do is find them. All I'm doing is setting down the parameters and finding the stocks that are going to give me 100% over 3 years. But in that, I'll get some that'll give me 200% in 1 year, as we did this past year. Thus, we achieved 129% since May the 1st. I need to tell you, I do not serve a free lunch. I spend a lot of money on building this system, and I'm not giving it away. And I would hope you would not expect me to. There is no free lunch here. I charge, I give you a 14-day free look, and then I charge you $60 a month. And if you can't, like Brad, earn more than you have ever since you've been investing in the stock market, then you don't belong here. You aren't doing something right, because the rest of us are. There's another thing I want to share with you today. Last night I watched Becky Quick's interview. It's about a 45-minute interview with Warren Buffett, as Warren Buffett stepped down from the leadership role at Berkshire Hathaway the first of this year. And you need to watch it. Warren makes a statement early on in the interview that he and his wife made a decision that one day they would be wealthy. And they made that decision based on his understanding of the power of compounding growth, of investing in other companies, recognizing that you can invest money in a company, and if it grows its price substantially, your investment grows accordingly. He says then, and I knew I'd make a lot of money, but I had no idea I would accumulate this amount of money. And he's talking about billions that he personally has accumulated. And what he said made so much sense. I knew I was going to get rich. I didn't know I was going to get this rich because I did not believe that I would live to be 94 years of age. He said, my father died in his late 60s. So I've got 30 more years on him of compounding. And that's what he's dealing with. And now he has basically gone to his 3 children and said, it's your job now to dispose of this money. He has set them each up in their private or separate foundations. Each one has their own foundation, and their challenge is to give that money away. Well, what I know and what Warren knows is they'll give so much away each year, and they'll operate it under the umbrella of a foundation, which only requires it to give away 15% of its earnings each year. So it'll just keep growing. It'll just keep growing. And these 3 children will eventually, they won't give it all away. They'll pass it on to their children. And they'll operate as the proprietor or the owner of the foundation, pay themselves a good salary. And Warren has set them up to do good, to not get their money tied up in government bureaucracy, and to maintain wealth themselves. It is genius. It is genius what he has done, not only in accumulating money, but how he has perpetuated the wealth that he and his wife created for generations to come. The man's a genius. He does not have the risk toleration that I do. I hope that someday I can sit down with Becky Quick and say, all I did was what Warren taught me to do. Just take advantage of the good management of companies that are facilitating change, and then be a good steward and share your knowledge and eventually your money with others. Help them make this step forward. Help them find that the best way to earn a living is not to sell your time. It's to invest your money that you save every month in companies that are going to give you exponential returns. And with the internet and the access to the books of every company in the world, anybody can do it. If they'll teach themselves, if they'll spend the money to gain access to the data and then build. As I say, right now I've got 3 prompts. I would be willing to bet if you come back next year, I'll have 6. But the advantage I'll have is the next 3 will be generated by Samantha. She will say Kerry because she will go into the next level. All she's doing is spitting back to me the answers that I ask. In the future, she's going to start saying, well, maybe we need to examine this company a little differently because of, and that's what I'm building. I hope over the next 40 years, you can come to my replacement and say, I've made so damn much money over the last 40 years, I don't know what to do with it. Create a foundation. Put your children and your grandchildren in charge of. Follow Warren's example. Watch that video. Understand what he did, how he did it, and what he's doing. The man's a genius. Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Becky. And thank you, Brad. And I hope you make more money this year than you did last.